to unquenchable fire, where the worm dieth not.
Ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа. Амінь. Христос посеред нас. Christ is among us. At some point, either before I entered seminary or in the beginnings of seminary, I came across a phrase which I was reminded of this week, thinking about the Feast of Saints Peter and Paul. I know the first gospel talks about money, and everyone wants to hear their parish priest talk about money, but I'm not going to talk about money today. I want to focus on this great feast of the chief apostles, Peter and Paul. And the phrase was this: God does not call the equipped, God equips the called. It's very easy for us to look at Peter and Paul and say, wow, chief apostles, look at how holy they are. How am I to attain to this? You know, a few verses after the gospel reading from Matthew, where Jesus says, "You are Peter, and upon you I will build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it." If Father David had read past today's gospel, into the rest of the chapter, we would have heard the words, no, not those words. I know you missed the last verse. No, further. Get behind me, Satan. How is it possible that a few verses after he says, "You are Peter," he calls him Satan? Because Peter was a weak man in his human nature, like all of us. And yet, even after, later on in the gospel, where he denies the Lord 3 times, we see that weakness of human nature. But if this feast had fallen on a weekday, we would have heard at Matins this morning. You can call it the reconciliation, the threefold, "Peter, do you love me?" at the end of John's Gospel. And it's from that we can read in the Acts of the Apostles how Peter, having repented of his sin, becomes a great preacher, a great evangelist, and ultimately gives his life for the Lord. That's why we wear red today for Peter and Paul. Yes, they are apostles, but both of them, by their life, shed their blood for this Lord who equipped them with what they needed to preach. In your own life, all of us in our own lives have been called to preach the Lord by the way we live our life. Not only us clergy, but all of us, whether we are single or married, whether we have children or not, in whatever vocation we find ourselves in this life. And in whatever vocation we have in this life, we may feel ill-equipped. But it's only with the Lord's help, with our constant turning to Him, that He will equip us for whatever comes to us in our Christian lives. If we think we will do it under our own power, we are fooling ourselves. We will not be able to do it under our own power. Paul was not able to write 13 epistles under his own power and to go preach to all these nations. Peter was not able to do what he did under his own power. It is because they continually went to the well, that is our Lord. And though they may not have been ready at the beginning, and though they may have had struggles, as Paul talks about in his epistle, throughout their ministry as apostles, the Lord called them and He equipped them with what they needed. Ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа. Амінь. Христос посеред нас. Christ is among us.